Welcome back to the channel, and this is going to be kind of a continuation of us learning how to do a little bit more drafting stuff here in AutoCAD 3D. So what you have in front of you is a very simple 3D model, and you're going to see that the modeling of this one will be super quick. And then we'll talk about, once we get over to the 2D portion of this, some of the more things that we can do, like customizing the dimensions and making things a little bit more finite. So we'll cover that a little bit more in this video, okay? So stay with me and let's jump over to AutoCAD and get started. Okay, so you see that I am in the 3D modeling mode here in AutoCAD. Some other things that we're going to do is we're going to turn off the grid. So I'll select that icon there. We'll go ahead and take a look at what running O-snaps that I do have turned on that you can see here. I do tend to work with the ortho on here in the beginning, and I'll adjust that as I need to. And if you are trying to get it to look like mine, you can select the ribbon here, and then you can access the 3D modeling tab. Alright, so with this one, we're going to go ahead and create it, and hopefully this is going to be straightforward and super simple. We're going to start off by a rectangle. We'll click here, and then we'll put the other coordinates in at 80, 50. So 80, 50. Let's go ahead and zoom the extents. Alright, and now we have this shape going on. Now I need to offset these lines in order to kind of create this boundary or this piece going around. And this is all one continuous piece. So the way that I'm going to do that without exploding this is going to use the construction line, which the shortcut for it is going to be XL. Then I'll use the offset command built inside of that. Then we'll type in 10. Let's go ahead and hit the enter button. And from here we're able to offset that line here, this one going to here, and this one here. Let's escape from here. Let's go back to the XL command. And then we're going to use the offset that's built on the inside of that. Type in a distance, which will be 40, and we'll select this line here and go forward. Okay, so from this point now I'll do some trimming. So just trim. Let's go ahead and trim off of all of this stuff. And now we can start working here on the inside. So I'll go ahead and trim here, between here, and we got some stuff going on here in the back. Okay, so next let's go ahead and put that circle that's in the front here. So I'll start off with the circle, and I'm just using the shortcuts for it. So just see enter, and there's nothing wrong with going up there and finding the actual tools, but to make this video a lot quicker. So I'm just going to hover over the midpoint, and I'm just going to kind of rotate out just a little bit until I get the green tracking showing up here. Type in 55, which is going to be the distance. And now it's asking me for a radius. I'll type in D, hit enter, and then it's asking for a diameter, which in our case is going to be 24. Last step we have to do is use the fillet command. Let's go ahead and set our radius equal to 15. And then we have more than one, so I will use the multiple option. And now we can go ahead and select these corners here. Alright. So this is our shape if we was drawing it just using 2D AutoCAD, but remember that this is a 3D. 3Ds have to be defined by closed profiles, okay? And when I say profiles, what I'm really meaning is a closed polyline, is preferably. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to go ahead and copy this portion here down to the bottom. So I'm just going to grab those and copy them down like so. This part here on the back, it needs to be a polyline, right? A closed polyline. So I'm just going to use a kind of shortcut command here called boundary. And then when the dialog appears, we're going to tell it to pick points. We will select right on the inside of here, and then we'll hit enter, and it creates our closed polyline on the inside of that. So I'll select it here. Just use the move command. I'll go from this endpoint or intersection down to that endpoint. And then this one on the top we can delete. We don't need it anymore. Okay, now let's go ahead and rotate our view to look like so. Zoom out of here. Let's go ahead and use the extrude command, and I will select this circle here, and this one in the front. I want to go down a distance of 10. Okay, Then we're going to go back to the extrude command. This time we're going to select this part here. And then we're going to go up. It looks like I accidentally hit a button there. Let me do that one more time. Let's go to extrude. Select here. Enter. I want to go up a distance of 25. Okay. Let's go ahead and subtract first. So we'll go to subtract. Select the object I want to keep. Go ahead and hit enter. And subtract the object that we want to remove from it. Then we're going to follow this back by using the union command, and union it's all together, right? So there's going to be our model there in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and switch over to the shades of gray. There we go. And you can see now that the modeling of this was done relatively quick. I think it took us, less than a few minutes just to get the modeling part done. All right, now let's jump over to the drafting part. Remember that we're going to go to the layout tab here at the bottom. We're going to first go ahead and delete this viewport. Let's go ahead and start with the rectangle command. Type in my lower left corner, going to be at 0, 0, 0. And my upper right will be at 17, 11. All right, we're going to offset. So I'm just using shortcuts once again, but O enter. Give it a distance, which is 0.25. Select this line here, come to the inside. I'll right click on the layout one, go to page setup manager. Underneath this layout here, we'll choose modify. DWG to PDF. We're going to find the ANSI full bleed B size 17 by 11. We're going to use the extents. Let's go ahead and center this. 1 to 1 is perfect for what we need, and we're going to switch it to monochrome. Once I hit the OK button, everything should be at the right view. Okay. So from now, we just need to bring in the view that we want. So I'm going to start off by selecting base, and remember that if you don't see base here, it is also listed underneath the layout here, and it's going to be this first tab. We're going to be using the one that's from model space. Okay. We're going to first start off by selecting this location for my first point. Hit enter, and then I'll click here. Click one over here, and then finally I'll click somewhere up here at the top. Go ahead and hit the enter button after you've done all that. This view here, let's go ahead and select it. I'm going to use the edit view. We're going to make this one smaller. So I'm just going to select here at the drop down. So from parent, it's set to 1 to 16. I think I'll use a 1 to 20. That should shrink it down just a hair for me. And I'll also change the way it looks to a shaded with visible lines. Yep, that looks good to me. All right, let's go ahead and move our first shape down. Remember that this is the one that controls everything. So when I move this down, you're going to see that these will adjust with it. All right. Now let's go ahead and put our center lines on this. So we got to switch over to the annotation tab. I will go to center marks. And there's going to be a lot more to doing these center marks than what I'm doing them now. If you do have some time, I would recommend you go to some of my old videos where I set up the layers and I really explain the other 3 commands that go along with it, like the extension and the layer that you can control your center marks with. All right, now I'm on the center line command. I'm just going to select that line there and this one. I'll go ahead and hit the enter button, and I'll do the exact same on this side. So here and here. Okay, so what I like to do next is I'll usually select both of these lines. Since the center didn't show up on them, I'll go ahead and zoom into one of them and let you see kind of what's happening in real time. Underneath the properties window, I'll go ahead and select here and tell it that I need that to be 0.75. And if it doesn't show up here, I'll typically go down again and again until it shows up. Okay, now we're done with all of our drawing here. We got all of our center marks on here and things of that nature. Let's go ahead and progress and put the dimensions on it. So I'll go ahead and use this special one here, since a lot of times I don't use it. This is kind of like the one that you're going to see in SolidWorks and Inventor. So let's go ahead and use this one. This is kind of a catch-all. We'll start off by putting our dimension here. So let's go ahead and find an endpoint. that endpoint, then I'll place the dimension here. We'll go to this endpoint, and I'll go find this endpoint here. I'll place that dimension above it. Let's take a look on this side. We're going to go that endpoint all the way over to this one. And I like to try to keep things in line, so I see this dimension here. I'm just going to find that endpoint and do it that way. Now I want this dimension to kick out on the outside, so you can pay attention to the order in which I select these. Select that inside endpoint first, and then you're going to see it swing to the outside as I go that direction. So if I want the dimension to be on the outside here, I'll start off by doing it on the inside, and then going to the outside, and let's line these up. Okay, let's go another dimension down here. Let's work on the top half here. And you can see all of these dimensions I did use when I was creating the model of this. Once again, I want that dimension to go to the outside here, so therefore I'll select the inside first, and then I'll swing it to the outside. Okay. And man, we're getting these dimensions on here relatively quick. And I'm trying to get it to where there it is. Once it shows it, then I can go ahead and click. Once again, here on the inside, when it shows it, then you do your left click and then you place it. Okay, so that's all of my dimensions that I need on top of this drawing. I'm just going to select this one here. I'll show you a neat little trick here in the properties. I want this to be a reference dimension. I'm just going to come down to where I find text, then text overwrite. I'll come here to the bottom. I'll do a open parentheses, less than, greater than, and then close parentheses. And once I hit enter, it will put those parentheses around it. All right, let's go ahead and adjust the dimensions. Shortcut way of getting there is just D-enter. Once this appears, let's go to modify. And I usually, or primarily always, start off here in the primary units tab. Next thing I'm going to do is just suppress those trailing zeros. Underneath the fit, we don't have to adjust anything here. Underneath the text, this is the text height if you want to make it a little bit smaller. But for our example, we're going to leave it at this height. Underneath the symbols and arrows, we're going to go ahead and get rid of those plus marks there since we already put them in. So that's what's going to take care of those for us. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else that I need to adjust? And usually there's nothing in here that I really have to change for this example. Remember that this is just the beginning part of this, and I do have many videos where I do a lot more of this kind of modeling stuff and drafting. So if that's something that you are interested in, please go ahead and watch that video. But at this point, I think we are done with this drawing, right? So this one was just a quick example on how to do a AutoCAD drawing and, you know, just do the dimensions and set it up and do things of that nature. But this by far is really a kind of a rushed and quick drawing. Typically what you're going to see in most of your other drawings is that you're going to have layers and things of that nature. In this drawing, we do not have any layers created, but just for getting us into basically learning how to dimension here in AutoCAD, this is a good practice for us, okay? So thank you for tuning in and watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And as always, keep drafting, and I'll see you in the next video.